Thank you, Tandra, for sharing with us today. What made you consider the Braver Angels program?
I did it for myself. I'm new to the church. I was feeling hurt by other people that have different opinions than I have. And so I wanted to learn how to deal with my own emotions and hurt. Triggers, my own triggers. These are words I've learned through the program.
And what did you find most challenging?
What I found most challenging, and I'm still working on, is once we've established, two people or a group has established that we have different opinions, to bring our different opinions together in understanding both each other without running away from the opposition.
Tandra, what would motivate you to continue to build skills in the Healing the Divide?
Well, I'd like to continue with it because I've learned that even though we all have different opinions, we can come together and still love each other, care about each other.
Hello, Lorraine, and thank you for sharing with us. What made you consider the Braver Angels program?
Well, I've been particularly interested in learning more about my own reactions and my own, to develop my skills for communicating with people that may have different ideological, political, religious viewpoints. Here at the church, we had a wonderful group of walkers, and we were a united front prior to COVID and prior to the election, and we were always very respectful of each other's beliefs, and it never really interfered. But as it turned out, as we got closer to the election and COVID, which were all pretty stressful times, we disbanded the walking group, and a lot of it was because of COVID, but I think also some of it was because we maybe felt more strongly about our own political viewpoints, and maybe were more reactive about that. And so my own involvement in this conversation is really because I want to develop my own skill set, increase my own awareness of when I'm triggered by a sentence or by a statement, particularly in a conversation with someone, that instead of just going on the defensive or the offensive, that I might just be able to listen more effectively and have skills to continue the conversation.
Thank you. Lorraine, what motivates you to continue to build your skills in the Healing the Divide program?
Well, I think my motivation is that I was part of the folks that helped kind of steer the development of it, and so I feel a commitment, and I also feel like anything that we want to become proficient at requires practice, and practice means showing up, and it means having those conversations, and it is also really rewarding to continue having the conversation when you know ideologically maybe you could be on different viewpoints, but maybe coming closer together to the center where we find agreements.
Perfect. Thank you, Lorraine. Hello, Linda. What motivated you to consider investing in the Braver Angels program?
Well, one of the reasons that I thought it was important for me personally is that I have a brother who has very different political and viewpoints than I do, and also very different approaches to COVID, for example. And I don't understand him, but whenever we have a conversation, we say something and then basically skirt around that subject. So that doesn't gain me any understanding of him. And so that leads to, I don't know, a bit of frustration on my part of not being able to understand where he's coming from and where his family is coming from in that situation. So I thought, well, personally, it might help me, but I can see that it's good in lots of situations.
And what did you find most challenging?
One of the things that I found I needed to do, I don't know if it was the most challenging thing, but one of the things that I realized that I needed to do was to evaluate my own prejudices and acknowledge them. Because I want to think that I'm not a very prejudiced person, and yet I find that, yes, I do have some opinions about things that probably impede my ability to have good conversations with people. So that was important to me to think about that.
And Linda, what would motivate you to continue to build skills in the Healing the Divide?
Well, I have learned that I want to go too quickly to giving my own perspective on things. And so I am trying to practice, even in non-controversial type conversations, to fully let others have their say. And then I'm trying to practice, and this is hard for me, a good way to pivot to my own way of expressing something and not having ulterior motive of trying to change someone's opinion about what they think. So those are challenges that I have, and I think answering your question, thinking about practicing those skills and just being conscious of practicing them is where I need to be right now.
Hello, Donna, and thank you for taking time with us today. Tell me, what made you consider investing in the Braver Angels Healing the Divide program?
I have been politically active for decades, and it has been breaking my heart to see the way our nation is so terribly divided, and people who used to be friends can't be friends anymore. People have family members that they can barely stand to be with. And I thought, it's got to be the church that leads the way. We have to find a way to heal the divide. That's what our Better Angels are about, is finding a way to listen to each other, to respect each other, to remember that good manners never go out of style, and that if we will just believe in our First Amendment right to free speech, that means we all are entitled to these divergent views, but we all want to live together and have the best lives possible.
So, Donna, what did you find most challenging?
I think because I'm a person who's pretty gregarious, that there were times when just sitting still and listening. And yet I found it so rewarding because I learned so much about the people who were in the session. And I learned that we have far more in common than we have that separate us. And so I believe in this project, and I believe that this can be part of the solution to the problem of healing the divide in America.
And Donna, what would it take to motivate you to continue with the Healing the Divide Braver Angels series?
Well, simply because the divide continues to exist. And I've always believed that if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. And I'm the kind, I've always been active and a leader, and I know that this is part of what I am meant to do.
Thank you, Jody, for sharing with us today. What made you consider the Braver Angels program?
I was interested in the fact that many of us are noticing the division of communication with people and just the need to bring that back together. And I also thought that I could apply it in my work situation. It would be helpful to me.
And Jody, what did you find most challenging?
It's really difficult to rank yourself, to rank your personality traits. I think it's something that we don't think about very often, and it's good to, really cause a time of thought in that, and then how that, it does lead you to thinking how you then interact with others, and sometimes some much better than others, and it really gets you thinking. But that was the most difficult thing for me, is to really make those assessments and then tie them into real life.
Very good. And what was your major takeaway from the series?
I think just to be, what's the right word, more intentional?
And Jody, what would motivate you to continue with the Healing the Divide series at Chapel by the Sea?
Oh gosh, just because I interact with so many people in so many different ways, and each of us has our unique way of thinking and approaching things, and the more that we can think about how to open ourselves to more different people, I just think it's magical here, and then we take it outside of here.